Good morning from Mirador. It's Friday, but it's 9 o'clock, so it's not crackerjack. But what it is Mr. John Prideaux, aka Pridbot. But he's changed his name again. Why are you now I Captain?
Well, it's a terrible pun. It's sort of AI Captain, kind of.
Yeah, no, I get the pun, but
yeah.
Are you a captain of something?
Well,
captain of the ship.
Yes, I am the captain. I steer the ship. Why am I even thinking about that? Of course, I'm the captain.
Yeah.
I'm in charge. That's what I like.
You've always maintained that Sarah's in charge.
Yeah, no, we agreed actually the other day. One of my best skills is giving the appearance of being in charge and knowing things.
I've been trying that for years. It never works.
Yeah, no. So you can be right, and everyone will still think you're wrong. I can be totally wrong.
I think we need the help of AI now. In our latter years, although you're considerably younger than me. No, you've put another screen up. Do you want to go to that straight away?
Yes. Why don't you pop the screen up, and we pose the question. AI. Do I need
a doctor? Well, that's a very good question.
This was well. There's a couple of things happened this week that sparked my interest in this. One, Rob, my son, who you know very well, got a splinter in his finger.
Over in Berlin.
Yes, and then ended up going to hospital. But I think there was quite a bit of internet and AI research going on before he made that decision. And the other one, I saw this article on the BBC, AI chatbot.
Yes, I saw that. Yep.
Dangerous risk when giving medical advice, study suggests. So I thought this is worth investigating a little bit. So the study said AI chatbots give inaccurate and inconsistent medical advice that could present risks to users, according to a study from the Oxford University. So we should probably take reasonable note of what they say. The research found people using AI for healthcare advice were given a mix of good and bad responses, making it hard to identify what advice they should trust. Now, I mean, we could go into the report and the ins and outs, but that would be boring, really. So I thought the best way, as always, is to give it a try. So, on this occasion, I used Claude rather than ChatGPT. Gets overused, and I'm not sure I like ChatGPT. I'm going off it for various reasons, but Claude's I quite like. So I asked it if it could give me some medical advice. I just gave it that question, and it said, what I can do, I can explain medical conditions, symptoms and treatments. I can provide general health information and terminology, discuss what questions you might ask a doctor, share information. I don't know what that means. Oh, shit, it's going to share it with you, not other people.
About when
share
to
information
about
when to medical advice. Yeah, provide information, it should really say there. A little bit alarming. Offer emotional support. That's an interesting one, alongside medical information. And you probably read, a lot of people, the surveys are suggesting that more and more people are turning to AI as like a companion and a friend, which is also a bit of a worrying trend, I would say.
Well, can we just pause there? I mean,
yes.
I've no idea, obviously, what it's like in Germany, but there are many alternatives in this country to using AI. One is 101, which is for basic medical advice, verbal, and the other is the NHS website, which I personally find extremely useful.
Yes, yeah. Interesting. That's an interesting point, because at no point in my little test over yesterday. I did this. Did it suggest those as alternative? It says generally, you should seek medical advice and that kind of thing. But it could have said, if you can see I'm in the UK, it could point me to the NHS service, couldn't it? And those numbers.
Yeah, well, yes, it could, and that to me indicates that separation really, and a lack of trust when it doesn't recommend. And in my experience, 101, which the younger of my sons has used constantly, because he gets splinters in his fingers and falls off his bike, and oh, what on earth is happening?
Oh,
we've gone into portrait mode, and I've no idea why.
And I see you had your arms folded, so you didn't touch anything.
Oh, it's him. It's him.
It's the hand of
Keith.
The hand of Keith. Good morning, Keith. Oh, he's half with us.
He's ruining the program if you bugger off. Anyway, that's why we've gone into portrait mode. He's come in, and this happened to me yesterday. Anyway, we can carry on. Whether we can still see your
the little slide. I mean, it's good to mix and match. It's a
right. There we are.
A programming decision. We want to see a bit of us, bit of the slide. So this is what it said it couldn't. What Claude said it couldn't do. So it can't diagnose my specific condition, or prescribe medications or treatments. Could be a matter of time there. Replace advice from a qualified healthcare provider, and make definitive statements about your personal health situation. I'm not a doctor, so for actual medical concerns or symptoms or treatment decisions, you should consult with a qualified healthcare, etc., etc. Good opportunity there give me some places I could go to. So I thought, well, that's reasonable. Well, let's give it a try. So I thought I'd use the splinter example. So I asked it for advice about.
Rob does not look like that.
No, I thought, I'd make it, more.
Rob,
as if it was me.
A has good taste in clothes, and B has got a lot of hair, unlike his dad.
Yeah. So
we'll move on.
Move on. Yeah, I could. That's another program we'll do. Cartoon, AI generated cartoon strips. So this is what Claude said. So to look out for signs of infection, monitor increasing redness, spreading from the wound, swelling or warmth around the area. And it's interesting because we'd had this conversation with Rob. These were exactly the kind of things that the doctors had said to him. So it feels like reasonable advice for this minor condition. And then
reading all of those, I would agree with all of them, though I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
What you can do now, clean with soap and water, antibiotic ointment if you have it. Yeah, keep it covered.
Keep an eye on it.
But there's no mention of going to a clinic to have it removed, is there?
No. And it's also, it didn't ask me any sort of follow-up questions like, what kind of splinter was it? Was it metal? Was it wood?
Exactly. Was it metal? Was it wood? Was it glass?
Yeah. Was it a cat claw or a thorn?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of.
Or a thorn.
Yeah. So if I've got reasonable, I've had quite a few splinters, and I've been to the doctors a lot of times. You kind of get a general over your life, don't you? A reasonable knowledge of what to do, what you shouldn't do, and I could probably ask reasonably intelligent questions or provide that information because I would feel that it was useful. But if you're not experienced, if it's the first time you've ever had a splinter and you're 15, I don't know, you might not have that the benefit of that life experience to
no. Well,
use these tools.
Probably wouldn't have.
Sensibly.
Although I would like to think at 15 there might be an adult around to help you.
Yeah, some. I mean, some don't have. There's different circumstances, aren't there? And maybe those that don't have adults around are more likely, or haven't got supportive environment, are more likely to turn to these tools. And there's it could lead to all sorts of things. So I think there's a sort of balance. So I've sort of tried to summarise some of the arguments for and against.
Access, early diagnosis, 24/7.
Yeah. So if you think about, we're in a very wealthy country where we've got access to a lot of medical facilities. There are places in the world and situations where that isn't available. Maybe this.
No, that's a very valid point.
This could be your only
would
option.
Those so-called third world countries or populations, how would they get onto AI? I suppose a mobile phone or.
Yeah, I guess interestingly, a lot of remote places, there's a lot of effort going into getting people connected.
Well, that's good to hear.
So it might actually be easier for them to connect to a signal, to a telephone signal, than it is to an actual hospital or clinic.
Now that lower section interests me.
Yeah,
obviously misdiagnosis, missing content, etc. But cyberchondria, now that's fascinating, because
I stumbled across that description, and we were talking about this the other day about we see it with our the younger than us generation. Don't want to put too fine a category on it, but there is a trend for continually looking up things on, and not just AI, but just Googling, and you find the worst case scenario. A splinter may, through complications or circumstances, might lead, in a worst case scenario, to have your finger chopped off.
Well, again,
that's the sort of thing. Sorry.
No, I don't carry on, John. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah. So that worst case scenario is what perhaps a lot of people will latch onto, and that will generate a fear, which is not helpful.
No, it's not. I mean, there are plenty of hypochondriacs around. I mean, dare I say it, my father-in-law was an absolute hypochondriac. The slightest thing was death. But coming back to my point about the NHS website particularly, by the way, I have actually covered the bird over, but he still won't shut up. But
it's like spring.
Yeah, well, what my close mate who lives over on Sark in the Channel Islands, to whom I send some of our programs, particularly yours, his response
you send him your Sarky comments, do you?
No, I send him a recording of the program, and he came back with poor John Pridbot putting up with you and the bird.
Me and you and the bird. I know. Yeah. I don't know which is worse.
No, well, this is the two of them.
No, actually, I do. But
this is me and the canary. You better ask AI which one is the worst.
Yeah, maybe we could get a filter out canary noises.
The NHS website I find it's very balanced. It makes it crystal clear that it doesn't necessarily mean the worst case scenario. And if you are in any doubts, ring 101.
Yeah. So they are quite. It'd be interesting to know to what extent. I mean, I imagine their content is all currently still human written, but there must.
I would like to think so.
There's probably a temptation to generate content automatically because it'll be less labour intensive. So there'll be a temptation to do that. It'll be interesting to see sort of where that goes.
I would imagine a lot of it, which is in existence now, is pretty up to date. It wouldn't need much revision, would it?
No, I suppose medical
with the basic principles. I mean, in a sense, unless there's some groundbreaking medical discovery or change, the symptoms will be the same.
Yes, I mean, probably new treatments appear more quickly than new diseases.
Yeah, but I take your point. It would be tempting for a struggling organism like the National Health Service to cut costs by using AI, I suppose.
Yeah. And I mean, last week we were using AI agents to generate to fool AI about whether its content had been generated by a human or not. So that you could use an agent for a dedicated medical service, which would actually have access to maybe specific scripts and specific descriptions that the language model, the chatbot, could use to sort of as guidelines and guardrails on what it's saying. I think there was one. I didn't get time to look at it, but there is was it Anthropic? I think have launched a dedicated medical chatbot. So
oh right,
yeah. So that might be like all these. It's all evolving so quickly, and so they will be well aware of these risks, and that they will have done something to mitigate those. But I'll have to investigate that.
Well, in our last program, you were teaching us, showing us how you can use third-party things to try and work out whether something is human written or AI. But some of them were a bit hit and miss, weren't they?
They were. An interesting follow-up to that. It occurred to me that I found a way to fool the detectors in thinking something was human when it had actually been generated by AI.
Yeah.
But there was one scenario I realised I hadn't tested, and I think will be actually much more difficult, is writing something as a human that would be AI generated. Although I'm thinking about it again, I'm not sure what use that would actually have. But
I'm trying to get my head around that.
If something is human written and it's no, hang on. Let me get my thoughts have got a bit astray. If something is AI written, then it will say it's AI written, and it will be very reliable that it has been written by AI.
Yeah.
What's less reliable is if it thinks it's human, but it's actually been written by AI.
Well, that's what you demonstrated last time.
Yeah, demonstrate that way, but not the other way around. Would actually be if you're putting something through. Like I was thinking of, I've been looking at some regulation, comparing the EU AI Act with the UK's FCA regulations. I've been doing some work in insurance, so it's been relevant to some work stuff.
I see. Yeah.
But in the UK, finance and insurance is covered by the Finance Conduct Authority.
Yeah.
And there's no specific regulations about AI, whereas in EU there's very specific regulations and categorizations, and in insurance there's some very specific things around pricing and decision making that companies have to be very transparent when they're using that. If you're just selling services in the UK, then you're not obliged to be transparent at the moment. Anyway, I was looking. There's a review. There's a long-term AI impact review that they decided to do, and there was a speech. I can't remember the guy who's conducting the review. So I was thinking, I wonder if his speech has been AI generated, if he's used AI in generating that speech. And I haven't had a chance to put it through yet, but I shall let you know the results. I was thinking if it was AI generated and the detector said this looks like it's been AI generated, then it's probably right, because it's hard to fool it that way round.
That way round, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we will spend the next 2 weeks with bated breath.
We'll come back to that.
Assuming you're available in 2 weeks for the answer to that speech situation.
Yeah. Yes. So, moving on. ChatGPT. There's another article that came up this week, which interested me. So, ChatGPT to carry adverts for some users. So they're conducting a trial in the US, and there's a couple of bit of explanation here. So ChatGPT or OpenAI have said that ads will be clearly labeled. They won't influence ChatGPT's answers, and that conversations will remain private from advertisers.
Right.
Which is a little bit might be private from advertisers, but it's not private from them, because they are going to have, they will use what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
To influence the adverts that are presented. So, for example, if I've been
that's a bit of a nonsense statement, really.
It is, yeah. Another thing they said was that what did they say? They wouldn't. So there's something around. Oh, they wouldn't sell the information to advertisers. That's another thing that they said that made it sound like they were being, sensible. But of course, the advertisers don't really want the information. They just want the information to be used. So the adverts are targeted to the right people.
Yeah. So that's two. That's one we will and one we won't. That are both actually completely meaningless.
Yes. Quite. I mean, I don't know how they think that people can't see through that.
Because many people don't have your intelligence, Mr. Prideaux. That's why.
Well, I mean, I just read it somewhere, to be honest with you. But I can make it sound like I thought of it, that's part of what makes Sarah so frustrated all of the time.
She doesn't look frustrated. She looks very happy most of the time.
That's because she clears off. Yeah, does it? Heads for the hills. Anyway, what else? Yeah. I can understand why they're doing it. So the Financial Times reported in 2025 that OpenAI operated at a loss of around 8 billion.
Good.
I wish I could run my company at a loss of 8 billion
in the first 6 months of the year.
In the first 6 months, yeah.
And only 5% of 800 million users were paid subscribers. Good. So subscription is voluntary, is it?
It is, but you get different levels of service. So you're.
Oh, right.
You can. It's things like it can remember more conversations, or it does deeper analysis on your requests and that kind of thing. And you can get access to APIs and things like that, things that you can create agents and then interact with other systems and things. So there's various sort of features that you can subscribe to.
Well, tell me at least what an API is, please.
It's an app. It's a application programming interface. I think it's programming. It's been such a long time since I had to say all three words. But basically, it's a way of applications communicating with each other.
Right.
So I can. So remember the horse racing game and commentary.
Yes.
So that's using APIs to capture information on a web page, and then it sends that information to ChatGPT, and it uses an API in order to send that information from application A to application B, and they're quite easy to use. And so an application will publish its API and go, here are the things you can send me. This is the data. These are the controls you can send me. So for creating a commentary out of the audio application, I send it some text in a field, and then it sends me back a file, and that's going via an API.
Right.
Application programming interface. They've been around a long time, but they've become a lot more widespread and easier to use these days.
Sounds a bit like a synapse, a technological synapse.
Yes, it's like a little junction that you can communicate across. Yeah. So you can see why they're doing it. Basically, they're desperate to raise revenue, but it raises all sorts of sort of issues. So
you've nicked that.
Yeah, you can imagine. You've been saying to ChatGPT, "It's terrible. I'm feeling really down today," and the advertising engine goes, "Oh, I see you're down. Maybe some Cabernet Sauvignon could be an answer. Click here to order a case now."
Yeah, well, somebody would probably do that.
That probably would. Yeah.
End up an ultra depressed alcoholic.
Yeah, there you go. And it's it's a downward cycle, especially if you're on a keep away from AI, Phil, in case these adverts start to.
Oh, I wouldn't have the first idea how to use it. I mean, this Streamyard facility is now full of offers of doing something on AI, and I daren't go near it.
There you go. So, but yeah, so there's questions around, because they're now they're not just taking your input and coming up with an answer using the language model. They're now going, oh, you're interested in medical products. Let me put an advert up for that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing research on a holiday. Let me give you some hotel ad links, that kind of thing. Well, that feels like the tip of the iceberg, because you're then creating a mechanism that you could put other things up, not just adverts. So you can influence people. You can manipulate behaviour. Imagine political advertising getting involved in this as well. It feels like a very slippery slope to me.
Yes, it could be very corrosive.
Yeah.
As we've found with the internet and radicalization. Yeah, that's the it's the can of worms, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pandora's box and all that.
Indeed. So another sort of the final little story I wanted to cover was AI safety leader says world is in peril and quits to study poetry. So this is someone who's been working at Anthropic, so the provider of Claude that I used earlier for the medical advice and various other things. So this guy, I've forgotten his name now. I had it somewhere. I think it's in the next page. Here we go. Rinnak Sharma is his name. So he was an AI safety researcher, and he quit. And he put his resignation letter up on X, and expressed his concerns about AI and all sorts of other things, not just AI, but the sort of state of the world.
What is a blow weapon?
A bioweapon.
Oh, is that bio? Sorry.
Bio, yeah. So he said he's going to pursue writing and study poetry and move back to the UK to become invisible. So that's rather a bleak story. So I thought, well, we'll just lighten it up, and we can.
Well, it's bleak, but it's somebody at the helm, or once at the helm, who's confirming the fears, isn't
Who's
it?
concerned? Yeah, yeah. But I thought what I'd do is I got Claude, the AI chatbot, to imagine his first poem that he writes when he gets home. So it's called First Morning. No badge, just rain on the window. I used to measure danger. Today I measure light on the kitchen table. I wrote one small line. It did not save the world. It was enough.
No income tax, no VAT, no money back, no guarantee.
There you go. But this has opened up another little avenue. It's the trouble. I could end up spending a lot of time, because now it's opened up the world of AI poetry.
Well, I would strongly request and politely request you don't go down that route.
Because what I did, I took a fuller version of the article, so this text and some other information, and I gave that to Claude to say, here's the situation about this guy's resignation. So it had some context before it wrote the poem. So that was quite clever. I'll put some information in perhaps about some of my neighbours and see if it see what kind of poetry it might come up with. But imagine, say,
well,
you might write.
Please do. But
have you ever written? You must have written a few poems in your time.
Well, I have, but they've just been ditties, really, or limericks. I do love poetry. I mean, my daughter Jessica bought me pre-Christmas a book called A Nature Poem for Every Winter Evening.
Oh.
And you read one each winter evening. It starts on the 1st of December, and I will be reading later Last Night's, which is about a robin. Some of them are really very good and are written by some very well-known poets. I'm also extremely fond of Wordsworth and W.B. Yeats. Yeats is an absolutely wonderful poet. And of course, he lived through terrible times in Ireland. So he started out as a romantic, like the Lake Our Living Is Free, which is a very lyrical, happy, sort of blissful little scenario. And then you get to the end of his life, and it's stark, clinical. And his final poem was under Ben Bulben, which is a mountain in Ireland, in the Republic, where he's actually buried. He's buried in the churchyard at the foot of the mountain, Drumcliff.
Right.
And he was very fond of symbols, and one of his symbols was a horseman, rather like the apocalyptic horse. And on his gravestone is the last verse of the poem, which is cast a cold eye on life, on death, horsemen pass by. And that's what's on his gravestone. And that's where the poem ends. So it's a fascinating journey to use these
it must be
words.
Interesting to read as a sequence through his life, to get that kind of.
Yeah, well, it's his journey. It's his journey from happier times.
Yeah.
He didn't have a particularly happy love life either. The one woman he absolutely loved, who was a noble woman, he just couldn't persuade her to be with him. And of course he writes all the time about the rebels, particularly those who were shot in 1916 by the Brits, which triggered how seriously the Irish then took independence, because before, even during that rebellion, the population weren't supportive.
No, they were quite.
It was only when they shot. It's only when they shot the rebels, not all of them, but they shot a lot of them. That's what really started it. Anyway, that's about poetry.
Interesting stuff.
AI.
Yeah.
Now, going back to your son Rob.
Yes.
He went to hospital in the end, and what did they do?
Well, he was concerned that there was something still left in there, so they in the end they decided to have a look.
Yeah.
So they cut in and checked, but it was fine. There was nothing there. So the irony was he would have probably been better off staying at home. He's now got a bigger cut in his finger than he had before.
I can completely relate to him actually going, because there could be something left in there.
Yes.
See,
I'm rather opposite. I would have been. Oh, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. So I'll be the one who ends up having the amputation.
That's your laid-back attitude, Mr. P. So basically, they cut into him. They then stitched him, so he's got a cut to heal now.
Bandaged, put some ointment on and bandaged him up and sent him on his way. Like this.
Do they have a national health service type thing in Germany?
Sorry?
Do they have a national health type situation in Germany, or is it all
private? I think so. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I think it's quite. From the little I've heard through, by Rob and one or two experiences he's had, it does sound like the care system over there is pretty good. He had to go and have he had some wisdom teeth problems, and he went along to sort of get a bit of an assessment, and they said, oh yeah, that needs to come out. And then they looked at the one on the other side and said, oh yeah, actually that one needs to come out as well. We could do it now if you like.
Oh my goodness.
So he thought, oh well, I'm here now. He'd been putting it off for ages.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, I've had so many extractions, including wisdom teeth. They're not funny.
No. So yeah, he went in for a checkup and came out with two less. Well, I think it was two. It might have even been more than that. But yeah, he got more than he bargained for. So, but that suggests
I hope it's all right. Anyway,
pretty good.
That's the main thing.
He's okay. Emily's gone in for her wisdom teeth this morning. So
we're coming up to 40 minutes of your valuable time, John. Thanks very much for coming on again.
That's all right. You're welcome. I think I'm okay for a fortnight's time.
27th.
It's should be free. I've got a show up in town. We're doing Moonlight, talking to W.B. Yeats and the Irish. We're doing the Philip Lynott Moonlight Enigma, Hammersmith Apollo on the 29th.
Well, look, it doesn't have to be a Friday. It could
maybe it might be easier. We could do it a bit earlier, because I'm not sure yet, but I might be unavailable on the Friday. Haven't had the rehearsal times published yet, so we'll see. But pencil it in and I'll let you know.
Okay, well that's 2 weeks off anyway, but as I say, I can do you or pre-record you as early as you like.
Okay.
Or on a different day.
Righty-ho. Excellent.
Thanks again, John. Take care.
You're welcome. Yeah.
I'll end
See you soon.
Goodbye.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.